Hey everybody, how are we doing out there? Welcome to my channel, and I hope, thank you so much for joining me and stopping by, and I want to say hello to Alicia and Helen, and I'm so glad that you are here today. So I'm starting a new series called Journaling with Intention, and I thought that we could spend some time on Sunday together to journal. And what we would do is actually work together to set up our journals and on really focus on what we're going to be kind of setting our mind to for this week. And I know that January, typically around this time, is that time to set your year and what it's going to be, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes those don't, usually about February, the end of January, those intentions start to fall off. So I thought by having this weekly series that we could work together to inspire each other. And of course, as this is a crafting channel, for us to use our crafty supplies and make something pretty that makes us really want to look in the book. So hi, everybody. Hey, Tracy. And hi, Saskia. And hey, Helen. I'm so glad you're here. So I have the supplies that I'm going to be using should be in the YouTube piece, and those are affiliate links. So thank you so much if you decide to shop through them. And I'm going to start by just talking about how to set this up, why we're doing it, and the focus of it. And so the first thing that you really, really need is you just need a place to put your ideas down. And it doesn't have to be paper. I happen to be a paper person. So really any notebook would work, or any place. You can even use loose sheets of paper, and just to kind of get a place where you can get your ideas down. So I went and I just purchased this book from Michael's, which is a craft store here in the United States. And I chose it because it is mostly blank. It actually has a dot grid pattern, which of course the camera is not doing a great job picking up. But I like that because it gives me a little bit of structure versus a plain white page. And the thing you really want to look at is the quality of the paper. So that's the harder part of this. And Tracy, I'm not sure if there is a way to share. Do you mean like your ideas, or do you mean for supplies? Let me know, Tracy. So let me know. And I'd love to know if you have an intention. So is there something for this year that you would like to focus on? Let me know in the chat. Mine is walking. Mine is walking. Oh, Tracy, thank you so much to share this out to people. I would appreciate that. Although I see that there's 6 people here, which is exciting, just to even have 6. This is... this again, like for me, I love walking. It's something that, of course, I live in a cold climate, but it's something that's my intention, that I want to increase walking and do more walking. And then I also want to drink more water. That's the other one. And Anne, we're going to talk a little bit about weight on that one, because weight is a tricky bugger, I got to tell you. So, but this is really the first thing, is you just want to get a place to put some ideas. And then the next thing that you really want is a writing utensil. So you're looking for something that you can write that makes you happy. And so I have 2 ideas. So Altenew, which is a company that I like, I really, really love, they make a set of what they're called fine liner pens. Oh yes, and more games with the family and more time, right? I was just having this talk today, Alicia, about time, and how time is really this commodity that is so valuable, and we don't think about it. You kind of think you have all this time in the world, but it really is so valuable. And so you really have to kind of decide where you're going to put your time. And if it's not going in one direction, it needs to go in the other. So I talked to Brian about our subscriptions for TV services. And I said, if we're paying this much in subscriptions for TV services, then it means that we're dedicating time to watching TV. And if we're not, then we should not have those, and we should do that. Yes, I agree. Instead of cycling, we can walk there. I like these pens because they come in a multitude of sizes, and there's even a brush tip if you want to try a little calligraphy. And the other types of pens that I really like are these from Papermate. They're called the fine liner pens, and they come in a ton of colors. And so you can kind of make your, and Helen, this is where you can use all of those pens that you've been collecting. This is definitely what you want. So I am going to go ahead and come on down, and to my to my mat, and I'm going to show you some of the other things that I pulled. And to be honest, I did not, except for buying my notebook, I didn't buy anything for this. So I really started to shop. I wanted to shop my stash. And that's what I did. And I'm going to encourage you in this process of reflecting and in kind of living with intention is for you to also think that way as well. Is how can I repurpose? How can I reuse the things that I already have in this way to kind of stretch them and use them? So I'm going to be talking about organization of your supplies. I'm going to be talking about how to reuse them and how to repurpose them. All right. So I'm going to come down, and you guys, I love these things that you have added in, and we are going to talk about a lot of that stuff because hopefully as a community, we can help each other and support each other in that living with intention. All right, so I'm going to pop on down. And so you can see on my desk, and I just realized I'm not mirrored. So let me double check this. My camera is mirrored. There we go. That's what I don't. There we go. So here we are on my desk, and I pulled a couple of things. So here's the book that I want to use, and I'm going to grab my pile of goodies and push them over all the way. Grab these guys too. All right. And I like that, Tracy, too. And we're going to talk about that word goal because I keep using the word intention. And I like it because goal to me sounds like there's an end product. And in some ways, it's not about an end product. It's really about the journey. So that's why I keep talking about it as intention. So this is the book that I found at Michael's. And I liked it because I probably won't end up using this section, but they had a table of contents. But you can see the quality's nice. The size is good. Let me get the size on this. And the other thing I would strongly suggest is a tiny ruler. This one I may or may not have stolen from school. All right, so this is about let's see, that's 5.5, about 5 3/4 by, let's see, that's 6, 7, about 7. So 5 3/4 by 7. So that's the size of my book. So feel free, you can use whatever size page that you want, or loose leaf pages if that works for you. The other things that I grabbed that I thought would be interesting to use, I grabbed an alphabet stamp set. Yes, I agree, Helen. They do. Ruler, please. Sorry. Those goals and those intentions have to be realistic. And that's what I wanted to do is we're going to start by setting up what are our intentions for the year, and then taking those intentions and then thinking about them on a week by week basis. So if I want to drink more water, what is that actually? It means that, okay, I'm going to start drinking, 20 ounces of water a week. And next week I'll try 30 ounces, and we'll kind of step it up from there instead of, just trying to do it all at one time. So we're going to kind of think about through those steps. So I grabbed this. I really like this set because it has these really large letters, and it's great for titles. And then I also grabbed, and this is an oldie. Gosh, this is from 2016. This is an oldie. Meant about shopping your stash. This is from Concord and Ninth, and it's called Perfectly Penned. And I like it because it's a little bit smaller, but it has a script set that you can put together to make letters. If you wanted to, you can connect them. But it also has these much smaller letters here, and they are in a sans serif, and it also has numbers. So I really like that about it, and it has also the other things. Yes, you got it, Tracy. Step-by-step instructions. The next thing I grabbed was this stencil. This is a stencil from Altenew. It's called Color Swatches, but you can see it has these openings that of various sizes, and that these would be great for titles. You can ink blend in here and add some color to your pages. And then I grabbed, this one will make sense on our first page, but I grabbed this. It's called Mandala Maker, and it's neat. You can actually create some pretty cool patterns, but so these would be great for bulleting. All of these little shapes in here, you have circles and hearts and diamonds, or ovals, I guess. But you also have these different size circles, so you can use on your pages. Hey, Melly, how are you doing? So glad you're here. We're talking journaling with intention. And yes, I will be crafting in just a minute. We're just kind of going through the things that I pulled from my stash that I want to be using today. that I think would be really, really great for building a journal or starting your journal. This one is Geo Frames, and I really like this because it has these nice bold frames, but they come in different sizes. And then for some, just kind of some nice inspirational quotes, I pulled Monstera's and quotes, and I just grabbed this, and I like the fact that it has these nice leaves, and I wanted to use outline floral and outline leaf stamps so I can color them in because I love to color. And there's just some really beautiful quotes here that I thought were very inspirational. Just like, don't worry, all will be fine. Take the risk or lose the chance. Don't yet yesterday take too much time from today. So I thought these would be, the best view comes from, after the hardest climb. So I thought these would be kind of nice to have in my journal. And then I grabbed another set similar called You Are Everything. And this one has, I love this. I'm going to be using this today, but I love the quotes in here as well that are also really good. And then finally, I grabbed today, just because this is January and I wanted something a little bit wintry, is I grabbed this mistletoe wreath, and I'm actually going to be using this large thing. But I really like the fact that it had this banner here, and then I could stamp that banner and then write some things into it. And of course, I have to do some coloring. And so I pulled the woodless the woodless coloring pencils. And these are beautiful. This is a beautiful set. It has a ton of colors in there. Absolutely fabulous. And I don't know if my journal is set up for watercolor. I think it can probably handle a little bit, but I didn't want to try it today. But I know it would be safe for this. And then for all those things that I'm stamping, I'm going to be using a dye ink. And the reason why I'm using a dye ink, although I love using the Altenew Obsidian ink, this takes a bit to dry. I will smear this. This dries almost instantly, and I will not smear this. And so I grabbed the dye ink here. So, oh, that's a great idea. That snowflake stencil. I was thinking about that, Alicia, pulling that. And then I was putting stuff away yesterday, and this little stamp popped out. I don't know where the heck I got this from. I think it was a freebie. It's called the Mini Hibiscus Tea, and it's just adorable. And I thought that would be nice for like a calming little thing to put in there. So those are the things I'm going to be playing out with. Now, what I did, as this is our first day here, and this is the first step in our journaling, is I kind of planned out what exactly I want to do and where I'm going to do it. Whenever you're in your journal, the best thing for you to do is to work on kind of drawing it out and putting it either on a separate sheet of paper, so you have an idea of what to do, or you can kind of sketch it out. So I sketched them all out on a separate sheet of paper. And so my goal today with you guys in the next 45 minutes is we're going to plan out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Okay, you guys ready for this? All right, let's grab your stuff. If you are watching and you'd love to share this out to your social media, I would appreciate that. And if you think anybody else would enjoy this series of journaling with intention, let me know. All right, so the first thing I wanted to do here, or let them know that that we're working on this. So the first thing I wanted to do here was to kind of set up my focus for the year. And so I'm going to start off with the mandala maker. And I thought it would be cool to kind of think about some different goals or intentions that I had for myself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the large stamp here, and I'm going to be dividing this up into smaller pieces. And then in each of the things, I'm going to be putting in what I want to do. So let me show you what I'm doing here. So I'm going to put this on my very, very large stamp block. And what's nice about this is this stamp is it just has these dots. And it's just going to give you a spot where I'm not totally committed to all of it. It's just going to give me kind of a rough idea of where I want to put this. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this somewhat in the middle of my book. All right. Yeah, I was thinking about that, Tracy. I was thinking about that, Tracy, because what I do typically is I'll journal in, like I'll just write, but I thought this was neater because I feel like sometimes I don't want to write. And I was on a trip to China. I was actually in China for a while. And when I was there, I was with students and I told them and I said, you know what, you guys really need to make sure that you're writing things down and putting some ideas down just so you kind of remember and really, what's going on. And I had a student, she said, I'm not writing, but what I'm doing is I'm just putting a picture in every day of how I'm feeling. And that really kind of got me. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't have to be writing. It doesn't, because sometimes those words don't flow. Sometimes those words, they have a hard time making it. But this way, you have that idea. It's always kind of there. All right. So I'm actually going to grab some very thin washi. And I have a whole bunch of just very thin washi. So look at Jen. And what I want to do is I'm just going to grab some different colors and I'm going to make lines across. So here's my first one. Just trying to get it to be the top and the bottom here. And this is how I'm going to divide my circle up. There we go. And what's nice about washi is it tears really easily. And this way I can bring some color and some kind of coolness to it. There we go. Let's use this one. All right. And I'm just going to divide this right here. And so I'm just kind of making sections. Now, what I want to do with each of these sections, and you can see where those dots help you to line it up. What I want to do with each of these sections is I'm actually going to write in what are my intentions for the year. So what is it that I want to think about when I'm thinking about those goals or the things that in January of 2024, I'm going to say, oh, I have actually worked on these things. These are the things that I have done. All right, and this way you can see all the colors that I get to use. All right, I'm going to put one more in here, I think. All right, almost. There we go. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm actually going to grab my Flair pens and I can write what I want each of those intentions to be. So this one, I want to do water. And that's a water increase. So I kind of want to increase in water. Oops. Don't want to do that. I want to do this. I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see what I'm writing. There it goes. Whee. Hey, Avril, how are you doing there? Another intention that I have that I want to do, and this goes a little bit with what you had said, Alicia, is more games with the kids, right? So family time. That's a big thing that I wanted to do. Another thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to learn or really get better at coloring. With markers. I'm getting there. I'm getting better, but that's one big thing I wanted to do. And yeah, exactly, Helen. It's like a pie chart, and so you can continue to fill in, and these become your focuses for the week, for the year. And so your goal is that by the end of the year, you will have worked on these, and you work a little bit at a time every so often. Every single week, you're making progress for these things. So another one was to eat whole foods. That means eating out less, things like that. But those are some of the things. So I'll just fill in those other ones. If you have less, you don't need as many stripes and whatnot. So I'm going to grab my Mega Brush Alpha, and I want to put the word focus in. And the best way to use this stamp set is to kind of do each one at a time. So I'm going to grab those letters. So I have F, my O, C, U, and S. And what's neat with this, it takes a little bit of doing, and I have to hand stamp each of the letters, but you can actually get these letters to connect. So I'm going to grab my stamp block, and I'm going to start out with my F. And I haven't used all these letters before, so I'm going to double check and make sure that I have conditioned them with my conditioning eraser. All right. And I'm going to use my jet black. And I could do rainbow on this if I want to, but I'm just going to keep it a little bit simple and just go right with the black. All right. Yes, learn Dutch. Saskia, you have to teach us a little bit of Dutch so I could learn a phrase a week. That would be great. Maybe a little bit of Welsh, Helen. How's your Welsh, Helen? Do a little bit of that. That'd be great. So when we got Irish a little bit, travel more. So what are your, so if you had to pick one focus for the year, what's one that you're kind of the one that you really wanted to do? This always gets a little tricky. I'm not directly over it because I'm kind of off of it. But if you feel like your letters aren't connecting, you can always just use a pen to kind of fake that. That's what's neat about this set. All right, so here's my C. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Avril. We need like an Irish. You got to tell me it's something in Irish that I could learn. So each week I'll be learning 3 different languages, at least one thing in each language. Oh, that's great. That's a good one, Tracy. And then you got to think about how do you do it, right? So what are all the steps you need to get to that focus? So it's great to say you want to do it, but it's really about taking those tiny steps. And there's this great book I've read called Atomic Habits. And he recommends something called habit stacking. And the idea is that you think about things you already do. So what do you do every single day without even thinking about it? And then you connect your new habit to it. And that will help you to make that new thing, whatever it happens to be, to make that a new habit for yourself. So that's called habit stacking. All right, so that is our piece. All right, and I just need a big tub. I'm just going to put all these over to the side, and I'll clean them up later. And now I'm going to grab that penned alpha. And again, what I love about this is it has letters and it's got numbers down here. So I'm just going to grab all these little numbers. So here's my 2, my 3, and where is the O? Here it is. Of course, we're still in the decade where there's 2 2s. So that doesn't help me. That's all right. All right, so now I'm just going to stamp these. 2. Oh, this is a nice set, Avril. Oh, wow, Tracy. That is a lot of languages. All right, I'm going a little bit quick, but that's okay. That's my 3. Here's my 2. The Conquer a Knife Perfectly pen set. It's an oldie. It's from 2016, but it's just a really nice set. All right, and 2023. Okay. And I'm okay that that's a little wobbly. I know that would have taken me a while there, the 3 2s from last year. One other thing we can do just to kind of give this a little spice is to grab my woodless coloring pencils, and I'm just going to take, like for this water section that's blue, I'm just going to use this and I'm just going to shade this over. And that just gives you a little bit more time. It gives you a way to kind of make this visual. And I find this process to be meditative. And I think that that's what you need in order to do this, you know, to really kind of commit to these ideas, is that I could have done this in complementary colors. So I'm doing them in analogous colors. And so I'm just going over and just adding some color into my color wheel. This also helps you with setting up a key. So if you want to track these things, if you give each of your intentions a specific color, then when you do your habit tracker inside, then you know which it is. So this is also kind of setting up your key with it as well. All right, now I'm just going to I want to grab that green. So I'm just going to color this one in. All right, so what we're going to do next is now we're going to set up our January, because this is our first month. And I know that we only have about 2 weeks left, but that's okay, or a week and a half. But that's what we're going to set up is January. All right, is anybody crafting along with me? And I agree, Anne, I am so visual. Like I think about things more in pictures than I do in words. And so I like this idea that it's colorful. There's a lot of things to it. I can add some washi. In fact, I wanted to grab this little guy here, which is just this little tiny sprig. This is from that You Are One of a Kind set, or You Are Everything set. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use black on this. I'm actually just going to grab a couple of other colors. And I want to do a little rainbow here. All right, so let's get some yellow. And I'm going to add some orange to that. Here it is, some red. Over on that side, I'm going to add a little bit of green. And you can see I'm just stamping like the whole thing with green just to make it over. And then I'm only doing that because I know that the blue and the purple will work. So I'm still have that green in there. And then I did the blue on the end. And now I'm going to do the purple on the very, very end. And so that's how I'm getting that one fresh. Just moisten that a little bit. And then I'm going to add this in. And now I got a little rainbow just to give it a little bit. Oh, that's so cute. You're writing intentions in your snowflakes. Oh, that's adorable. I can't wait to see that, Alicia. I think that's going to be great. And is anybody else crafting along? I know Alicia is. Yes, Anne. Oh, beautiful. And Tracy, you're crafting. Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. So now for this, what I want to do here is I'm going to actually do a layout where now I want to put out, well, what's my monthly intentions? And then I'm going to make my January piece here. So I'm actually going to start on this side, and I'm going to use that same brush alpha, and I'm going to put January out. Actually, I think that's going to be too big. So I'm actually going to go back to the penned here, and I'm just going to pull out January. So J, this is of course is this the longest lettered month? No, is November the longest? Oh, that's a great calendar stamp bundle. Oh, that's nice, Helen. I'm always worried about the dates, but I was going to go in and look at that just to see if they had it. January, R and Y. In fact, I think I'm gonna do the J with the alpha, with the big guy. I'm gonna grab the big J here. September. All right, good one. Good one on that one. Okay. All right, so I got my J. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the J very, very large. So this is from the Altenew Mega Brush Alpha. And I kind of want this going over to the side. So I'm going to have January kind of going like this. And then I'm going to have this mistletoe wreath kind of hanging down in the bottom off the J. So here's my J. And this is something that I hope that, you kind of go back into, look at throughout the week, so you can see what it is that you're focusing on to help you a little bit. Okay, here's A. I just like the juxtaposition between those sizes. I think that's kind of neat when you have that big, huge J. Of course, with the script fonts, I always have to figure out which side is up and down, and if this is a U or not. I think that's the U. Nope, that's the U. Okay. I do love this set. If you can find this set, it's really nice. It was available. I made sure to check it on Concord and Ninth before I did this today. All right, A, come on back. Alicia, this is and Anne, this is the best letter of the alphabet, right? Is the A. A. R. And Y. You know that time when your Y does not look like a Y? This is that time. All right, I think we got to fix it. It looks like my stamp's a little altered. I don't have the right one, but I'll fix it. I think I pulled a J. I think that's the J. Oh, yeah, because that's the Y. There we go. No, I'll just write it in. All right, so there is my January. I'm going to write in the rest of the top of my Y. And that's the nice thing about having that black pen is you can kind of fix any sort of mistakes if you don't like them. Just fix it. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to add in the 2023 like I had before. So I'm just going to use my stamp block this time to line them up, making sure that you're going backwards. 20. I'm going to do my 21st. Like I said, I'm using this crisp dye ink because of the fact that I would be making a mess if I had a black ink that did not dry right away. I'm already kind of smudging things because my hands are a little bit mushy, but there we go. So 2023. I thought it would be cute to grab the mistletoe wreath, and you could do I don't know, flowers. You could do a lot. I just was kind of thinking of like a floral, snowflakes like Alicia has. You could do a lot of those things here, but I thought this mistletoe wreath would be really, really pretty. Just kind of coming off of this. I just thought it would be cute. I want it to be kind of hanging down. I think that's too much. So we're just going to do it right there. All right, and I am going to do this in the black. And I'm just stamping everything down, and then we're going to add some color in and some quotes. So grab some quotes or think about a nice quote for yourself. Like, what is it that January means to you? What are you hoping when you set your intention for January? It's always hard with these big stamps, making sure that you get it all. Oh gosh, I hope so. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. It's because I'm not on the top of it. That's all right. That's why we have a pen. Here it is. If you do make a mistake, what you can do, besides just ripping your page out, is just taking something and putting it right on top of that. And that will help. It is always hard when you're kind of putting this in a book. So what I can do when you have mistakes or when you kind of have a boo-boo like this is I have enough of the sections where I can just start to kind of trace this around. And put those pieces in there. Or I could even die cut this out and then stick it in. So it's really one or two of the other. So I'm just going to start to just kind of trace this. If this doesn't work, I'll just cut it out as a die cut and then I'll stick it in that way. But that kind of fills it in just a little bit. And practice not needing to do things perfectly. Absolutely. All right, so that's pretty close. And so I will go back and I will color this in just to give this a little bit of color. Now on this side, what I'd like to do is I want to set my intentions for the month. And I could stamp this out, but I think it's a little bit too much. So instead, I'm going to use my brush pen, which is one of these three. Not that one, and the last one I tried. All right, so before I write anything in a journal, especially when it's something that I'm not super sure on, I need to make sure I spell it out. So intentions. Okay, so I'm going to do monthly intentions. Okay, it is though, because there's like, I think that happened to me in my Misty too. So I'm probably just going to die cut that out and then stick it in there. All right, so I'm going to start with monthly intention. So I'm just going to go right across with this. And I like the brush pen because it can, you can kind of look neat in terms of like calligraphy, but I have these dotted lines because that's the type of thing that I like to use in terms of why I'm bringing this book. And this is where all of that practice that I had to do of calligraphy or cursive writing now is paying off here. And with calligraphy, or even just cursive writing, it's nice because you really have to slow down. And think through everything. Okay, there we go. So I have that set up, and then I'm going to grab some little bit of a thicker washi just to give this some color. And I think I'm going to do kind of on a pink kick. So I'm just grabbing washi from my stash. If you ask me where this was from, I have no idea. Oh, this is pretty neat. It's going to be red. I'm just grabbing this. No idea where it's from. But we're going to move it, make it red. Whoops. There we go. It's so old, it's separating. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to grab a piece. Get rid of that one. Oh, thank you. I'll go back and do that, I promise. I spelled it out too. I had the T on my sheet. I got confused about the I. All right, here we go. And again, I'm just using those grid lines to just go ahead and mush it together. There we go. So that color's nice and bold. All right, for you, Helen, and everybody else. There we go. Close enough. Shouting Helen. It's there, I promise. I put it back in. All right, so I'm going to use the Geo frame set. And I'm actually going to use this very large rectangle. And I think you could, I mean, depending on what your intentions are, you really could put anything, you know, any size of what you want to do. So I'm going to grab these. And I'm going to put this on my very large block again. I might need another very large block, but I'm going to put this on my very large block. And this is nice because, again, it just gives you that little bit of frame. I could draw this out and get the same piece, but I kind of like having the structure of this very, very bold frame. This is also something you could put on your computer, and then you could use this to you print it out, and then you go ahead and you can just paste it in. All right, I hope that's straight. Realized how hard it is stamping in a book. Okay. All right, and then if you are missing any pieces, you can just, again, use your pen to draw those in. Use my fine liner for that section. There we go. All right, so that's it. I'm glad you're paying attention. Glad you guys are paying attention out there. All right, how are we doing? Are we liking our books? Are your books looking good so far? I'm really excited to see them. Feel free to share them and just tag me when you happen to share them, because I would love to see them. All right, so I'm going to grab that mandala maker, and I think for me, my monthly intentions this week, or this month, is I really want to start adding in more walking, and I want to start adding in more crafting time, because I'm kind of not doing those two things, and that's something that I enjoy and I really, really like to do. All right, I'm going to do this in this rouge. And so these are just bullets. Like, I'm just making little bullets. You can do 1, 2, 3, how many ever you have, but I'm just going to make little bullets here. So, and there's really 2 bullets that I want to focus on this month. And, you know, you think about all of those things that you might have highlighted in your focus. You don't have to do every single one of those this month. Just pick 1, pick 2, and have that be your focus. Because sometimes when we think about trying to do everything, that's what makes it difficult. So this is that idea of habit stacking. So out of those, if you identified 5, 6, or 8 of them, focuses that you want to fix for the year, or that you want to work on for the entire year, it doesn't mean you're working on all of them every single month. And so, and I think, you know, I mentioned, or somebody put in about losing weight. Absolutely. And definitely for me. But I know that if I work on having these other habits, if I work on eating well, if I work on, what is that? If I work on eating well, if I work on drinking more water, if I work on exercise, what's going to happen is the weight will hopefully move off of my body. All right, I'm just adding in a little bit more color on this side. So I know I did that off screen, but I just added in some washi on this side just to kind of pair that in. Oh, it didn't happen in 2022. That could be a good intention. So then you just kind of work on it for the 1 week, for each of the weeks. You make 1 or 2 cards, and that's what it is. Sometimes we think about, these habits or these goals as very big things, and they become monstrous. And so you have to break them down into little bitty pieces. Okay, so that is my January, and I will come in and color that in. I just want to do these next 2 pages. All right, so now this is our week. And so I'm going to use to set out what I want to do. And this one's going to go relatively quick because this is where we're actually going to be collecting our data. This is where we're going to be putting in our information about what's happening. So I'm going to start off by putting the week up here, and I'm just going to write that in, not using my fine liner brush. I'm actually just going to use a smaller pen, but I'm just going to go ahead and write that in up here. So this is our week, and we are starting today or tomorrow. I'm starting tomorrow. So that's Monday through Sunday. And that's how I'm setting up my week. And feel free to change your week. So whatever it is that you want in. Yes, Tracy, it's always about data. And that is a great idea, Avril. Once a month, Christmas card class, holiday card class. We can do that. All right, so I'm going to add in some thin washi. And I'm going to keep with this red theme. All right, are these the same? Yes. All right, I'm just going to do a little thin washi just to kind of set this up and get this separated, just to say that this is my title. And I can add in a couple of other fun things, but I'm going to do the outline first of all of this, and then I can come back in and add some other fun stuff. Okay, so there's my washi. I love this thin washi because it really helps to delineate and to separate things, and just to kind of like give a little bit more weight in other places. All right, so my next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set up, this is for each of the days. And I'm going to use this stencil. And what I'm going to use on this stencil is this one right here on the bottom. So I'm going to put the date. And then this is just a little place for me to write. If you want to make this a little bit bigger, don't fill in that bottom. And you can put this on top of one of the larger rectangles. For me, I'm not somebody who wants to put a lot of information down because I want to use it over here in my habit tracking. So I'm going to make these a little bit smaller. So one of the things, of course, is that there are 7 days in a week, which stinks, and that it's not even, but we're going to have to figure out a way, or I'm going to have to figure out a way to do all of this. So that's 1, 2 can fit, and I think I can fit 3 across. So, and I think I can go 1, 2, 3 down. Yep, that will work. So I'm going to start right here. And I just kind of eyeballed it exactly where I want this to go. So all I'm doing right now is just tracing the outside of this stencil with my pen. And this is a place for me to record something about the day, something I want to remember, something I want to focus on. So this is January 23rd. Okay. And now I'm going to put my next one right next to it. This pen isn't doing a great job. It's too small. All right, here's the brush. This is my part 2. All right. Sending cards. Actually, I wanted to put that down as one of my intentions, and I thought that would be great, is to send more cards. Because sometimes in sending things to others, that helps us. All right, so that brings me to Wednesday. Then I have Thursday. This is always hard to make sure it's right where you want it to go, so it's right off. But I figure it's my journal. If I make mistakes or have anything, no one else really has to see it, so it's not a big deal. All right, and here is my last one. All right. And I'd love to know, how's this format? Do you guys want to know other things if I do this next week? Or when I do this next week, is there any other focus? You want me to use different techniques? This was really just kind of setting everything up, and I thought we could add in other techniques and other things to do. Absolutely. Tracy, you're going to love this next time over here. All right, so January 24th, January 25th, January 26th, January 27, oops, January 28th, and January 29. And I thought over here what I would do, and I think the stamp is too small, is actually add in, like, I think I'm just going to draw it out with my ruler, is add in things that I notice, like things that I want to work on for next week. And I wanted to use this as a place to think about next week. So I'm going to draw this way. So I just did 2 inches down, and I'm going to go 2.5 inches across. So that's 2.5 inches across and 2 inches down. And this is just going to be things that I notice for next week. Okay. And then leaves us a little bit of space over here to do some coloring. All right, so now on this side, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to grab this. This is a label maker. This is a label maker that it's actually a pretty cool label maker. It can use things like washi tape or all these different kind of colors, and it's just a way to, give it a little bit of oomph and work on, just adding something else that's a little bit different. All right, size, that's what I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to have over here a habit tracker. And I can put in different colors. I can do kind of some funky things with this. And it's pretty neat. So I'm actually going to add the width. Okay. And I think that should work. Preview that sucker. That's 5.3 inches. That will work. Okay. And this one is pink hearts with gold. Yes, I know, posh. Well, like I said, Helen, I use it in my craft room all the time, so I might as well use it for something else besides labeling my stamps I don't take out, right? So I thought this would be cooler just to kind of have this out here. All right, so now, and I like the fact that it can do, all these different kinds of things. Yes, and positive words. It's really neat little label maker. I don't remember when I got it. It's just something that's neat. All right, I'm going to put this, instead of putting it up at the top, I'm actually going to put it somewhat a smack dab in the middle. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make some graphs. And I'm going to show you with the first one. So this is really thinking about what is it that you want to work on this week? What are things that you want to keep track of this week? And so for me, for the habit tracker, the first thing that I want to keep track of is I want to keep track of my water intake. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this here, that this is my water intake. Then I'm going to grab my trusty ruler, wherever the heck I threw that thing, and I'm just going to make an L. That's all I'm looking for. You want to make sure that you have enough little space over on the side, but I'm just going to make a little L. So this is my little graph. And here's my other half of my little graph. Not all the way over to the side, I'm just going here. Okay, so on the bottom, I'm going to have the days. So here we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, so that's on the bottom. And then over here, I'm going to have amount. And this is going to be in ounces. Yes, that is the science teacher in me. I have to label my graph. So should have put it in milliliters, I'm assuming, or liters. I guess that would be liters, right? If you're over in Europe, you would be tracking water in liters. X and Y axis. Yes, Tracy, you do. That's right. And so you can keep that amount. So for me, my goal amount is 80 ounces. So that's really what I want to hit, is 80 ounces. And so half of this line, this is about 40 ounces. And so then this is 0 ounces. So that's where I am. And then I can just kind of guesstimate where all of those places are. So it's just a little guy. I want to add, again, a little bit of thin washi, just to separate these two. And I could have put this underneath my habit tracker, but that's okay. It looks good there. All right, I'm going to go right there with it. And now over here, what I want to track is I want to track my walking. Or exercise or whatever it is. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a little gold. It isn't I can make you a gold star on there. The other thing I wanted to mention, I didn't bring it up today, so I'll bring it up next Sunday, is to use all those little bits and bobs that you have left over, the extra stars, the extra flowers. You can use those in here to decorate your, all right, so this is time in minutes, to decorate your planner. So really think about what you have already in your stash, and that's going to be helpful for you. All right, so I just have the days again on the bottom of this. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this is how many minutes am I going to walk? So that's my walking. All right, then up here, other things that I want to track are my mood. So how am I feeling each day? Do I have headaches? Is there something like that going on? And then how long I want to track about being creative. This is coloring. This is just being in my thing. Now, I don't necessarily need a graph here, but what I do want is I just want to know what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. So I'm going to actually use this. Now there's 4 here. This is that same stencil, that color swatches stencil. And I'm just going to use this to give me some really, really quick little spaces. So 1, and I know I need 7, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to shift this down. So that's going to be 5, 6, and 7. I think I'm almost right at the top there. 5, 6, and hey, we don't care that much about Sunday anyway. I'll go right on habit tracker. There we go. All right, so there is that. And then I'm going to move this right over here and I'm just going to be creative. So this one, I'm just going to write down what are the things that I have done each of the days. And we are just about at time. I'm going to keep going for just a little bit because I want to show you how I want to finish this off. How are you guys doing out there? Especially for those of you who are crafting along, is this helping? Are you getting some ideas of things that you want to do? All right, so this is 129. Oops, 23, Amy. Wrong week. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. And then this is, we're going to do the same thing. 123, 124, 25, 126, 7, and 129. All right. So what you can do is use your colored pencils and color some of these things in, especially over here on the dates. So I can grab my colored pencils and let's say I want to keep in those shades of red, as I can just add a little bit of color here. And that just helps to kind of, use that meditative piece, color that in, you can go ahead and do a rainbow if you want on these, whatever it is that you want. And then things like using the Monstera in quotes, these leaves are just really lovely. And I thought these would be really nice to add to this. You can put quotes in here. Like this would be a really great place for a quote. I'm going to add a little leaf over on this side in my black ink, and then I can use my colored pencils to go ahead and color this in. If I can find my ink, here it is. And anything that you have, if you have die cuts, you can go ahead and paste those in just to add a little bit. Yeah, I agree with Alicia. That's kind of how I feel about it, is really focus on those habits and the weight will come. You got to focus on the habits though. And that's good too, because if you think about it, it's about the habits that help you to get where you want to go. It's really all about the habits. It's about putting those things into play and getting them done. If you think about it, everything's really hard work, and it's because people are disciplined. People have that hard work. You're not, even all the crafters you are today, you're all fabulous, and it's because you put the time in. Oh, great. I'm so glad, Alicia. I tried to come up with some different ways to document and to show how to do some stuff. And I also want to give myself a little bit of space where I can color. So if I just want to kind of mess up. Now, I want to talk about, I'm going to finish our show today just by talking about, this is not my planner. And that's because I have a planner. This is my Crazy Pants planner. These tabs are from Avery. You can get them. They are, what are they called? They are repositionable. So that's all here. And this is where I do all of my work. This is where I have school, all my work stuff. And this is the thing I take to meetings. And so I wanted to keep this really for me. This is something I keep at home because that way I'm not in a meeting and someone's looking at me and going, oh, how are you doing on your water intake, Amy? But it's something that's kind of separate for me. But I really like this layout. So let's look at what we did. I'll just go back over. So we have a space where we set our focus. Yes, absolutely, Tracy. So how, we set our focus for the years, for the year, picked a couple of those focus for our monthly intentions, and we're going to add those in here. We have a cover page for January using some washi tape, and I'm going to color this in. And then we have our weekly layout. So what we'll do next week is we'll check in and see how you did. How do we now take this information and use it? Are we going to change what our weekly intention is? Are we going to keep this layout? What's working? And that's been something that has been helping me, is I have a weekly check-in. And so I check in with my family. We've made some changes in the house. I check in with my family and I say, you know what? What's working, what's not working, and then we make it. Then we change those things, and then we kind of set it up for the next week, so we know it's now in place with what will work. And that's been very, very helpful for us. But I'm really excited to see your trackers, to see how well you did, this week, and I hope that this sets your week off with intention and gives you something to hopefully help you to set up those habits in your life so you are ready to go. Thank you all so much. I will hopefully see you next week. And yes, we are, Tracy. It's been great. In fact, I was going to add them in to here. We just sat down and figured out what all of our dinners are going to be this week. That's one of the things that we do. Is we sit down and we talk about dinners, who is responsible for what night, and then we go food shopping. And that's been great. And we've been doing that for about 3 weeks. And it's something that's been really helpful for everybody. So it's been really helpful. Absolutely. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. I hope to see you next week. And I hope you have a fabulous week.